oh, that's loud.
We got you.
I'm a little loud. A little too loud. No. Thank you. Okay. I think I'll sit. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's Monday, August 31st, open workshop. I will take a roll call. Trustee Alonso is here. Trustee Broderick is here. Trustee Burke is here. Trustee Cassius is here. Trustee Egan is here. Trustee Finnerty is here. Trustee Wilbeck is absent. Vice President Munoz is absent. President Velardo is here. Okay. Folks, just going to catch up on some items. You all have your packets. I'll ask you to turn A12 and A13 was sent home, but it came in after the committee meetings. Due to the COVID-19, you'll see Resolution 812 is just people being assigned technology to each school. And being in a COVID world, we thought we would do September, October, November, and December's board meetings, 5 o'clock open workshop, 6 o'clock public meeting. Okay, so that takes care of curriculum. We move on to finance. Mr. Castles is going to help me. I'll ask you to go to B15. And these are just, Dan, I guess you could explain it a little better to me. That for the school year 2019-20, it's a settlement payment for our vendors.
Sure. So as part of Public Law 2020, Chapter 27, we are required to pay our vendors from March to June of the 1920 school year, even though we were closed. As part of those payments, one of the chapters specifically discusses transportation payments, and that's contracted busing services for us. So those negotiations were ongoing as long as companies submitted their fixed costs, their payroll costs and other fixed costs that were associated with operating during those times. As long as they kept their employees working and they didn't collect any federal funds for that. So this resolution states that we are going to pay those companies 70% of what was owed from March till June, even though we were in a contract with them from September till June, some of them from July till June. The savings for the district is $133,265.70. That's the difference between the 70% and the 100%. So that is what B15 is in the transportation payments.
And just to make clear, state law obligates us to pay.
Correct, yes. That's part of Public Law 2020, Chapter 27. I believe it's A3905, but don't quote me on that.
I know, we thought on the committee, I just want to make sure the full board understood.
Yeah, it is.
We really don't have much of a choice.
We don't have a choice, but we did have the option to negotiate to not pay the 100%. So.
Which we're not paying.
Okay, then we'll go to B18 as a contract with inline air conditioning.
Okay, so in BS18, it is an annual contract with Inline to do a whole slew of things. We discussed this briefly at the last board meeting. What they will provide us with is MERV 13, that's the highest grade filter throughout the district. Along with this, they will be placing UV lights in our ductwork, which is proven to kill viruses, including the coronavirus. Also with this is basic machine maintenance. So this is replacing belts and doing basic stuff, but this isn't a hourly rate, which has done in the past. This isn't by work. This is an annual contract. So they have to meet the guidelines of the annual contract. That means every item is listed in the contract. How often they service those items are listed in the contract. They have to provide us with who did the work on the unit and what time they did and time stamped, so we have proof. So we have a little bit more, you say pushback. We have a little bit more leverage to go back at them and say, were these work items done? The total cost is around $450,000. $456,826. That would be significantly under our annual cost with inline over the past 3 years. We just got to hold firm on this contract as we move forward. Sure.
This is not an annual contract that's renewed in January.
No, so this is a July, yeah, so it's a July through June contract. But really it's September till June, to be honest with you, because that's when they do it. How you doing, Dave?
How are you, sir?
Okay, that is it for any other questions with 18. If not, we'll move to 19, contributions to the Capital Reserve Fund. We also talked about this at Finance. This is the resolution.
Yes, I could briefly explain this real quick. So at the end of the 1920 school year, the school year that ended June 30th of past, a school district is allowed to take part of the surplus at the end of the year and add it to a reserve account. There's a couple different reserve accounts. The two that are open in Bayonne are the maintenance reserve and the capital reserve. The main difference is capital reserves are for capital projects, and maintenance is obviously for basic maintenance. What we're looking to do here is, since we had the closure due to COVID and we had some breakage, we're looking to put some dollars into our capital reserve account for future capital projects.
One question on that, Mr. Cassis. You said because of the COVID. Specifically, could you just name a number of items, simply because I'm being questioned, I'm sure as
Sure.
other trustees, since we haven't been in full session and certain things aren't being funded or being rendered,
Right.
Is that where the reserve money is coming from?
Yeah, so like one of the easiest things to discuss is utilities. Most of the buildings were completely shut down, and the utility companies realized this, and not only did our bills decrease, but they also gave us a break on some of those bills. So we did have some breakage. Now, with that being said, there were some unforeseen costs that arose in the prior year. Some facilities projects that were forced upon us to just adjust and get our buildings ready if we were going to come back in September. But overall, we had some breakage, and this is a way to move forward and put these dollars in reserve so that we can do future projects.
So, also with the breakage, we do, in addition to the breakage, we do get CARES Act funding, do we not?
Yes,
And my assumption is that the CARES Act funding would be used to buy, like, the necessary thermoscan thermometers.
Correct.
I did notice that we're hiring a couple more nurses. I'm assuming that that might even come from COVID, from CARES Act,
Well-
or maybe from the breakage.
yeah, so like face masks, scanners,
Okay.
specific programs to catch kids up that had fallen behind that we ran over the summer. Those are all things that are specifically designed for the CARES Act money. The one thing I'll say about CARES Act is a one-time funded
Right.
grant. So we got to be very careful on how we purchase things. But yeah, we certainly got CARES Act and have used it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Then we have B20, Budget Adjustment Plan for the school year.
Sure. So this was kind of sprung on everybody across the state at the last minute. It is good news, though. So we were notified, I guess that was back in June, that the district would be losing roughly $4.9 million in state aid. That conversation came along with the caveat that the state budget wouldn't be finalized until October 1st, and that additional cuts could happen. Not that they would, but they could. So in mid-August, we got notice from the county office that we would not be receiving an additional cut, that the original stated $4.9 million reduction was going to be the total loss for the district, and that we could move forward with a budget reduction plan. However, we had to submit it to the county office, and as soon as our next board meeting occurred, we would have to bring it before the board. So with our $4.9 million reduction, the plan that I am recommending, or we are recommending, is eliminating $6.9 million we had previously had allocated for capital projects, which most likely aren't going to happen now due to our virtual opening and the state of where we are this year. Could happen in future years, but not happening in this year. Obviously, that leaves a $2 million difference.
That was the M1.
That $2 million will be put into the maintenance, custodial, and nursing budgets. Nursing to provide, as Ms. Finnerty said, additional nursing and nursing supplies and PPE supplies as needed. Also to provide additional custodial and maintenance times for cleaning and prepping for schools. So that is the budget plan that I'm recommending that we move forward with.
I know I ask a lot of questions,
That's
so I
okay.
apologize. When you say a reduction in the capital projects, could you give some examples of what projects were originally planned for
Sure.
before we lost the almost $5 million, that we're not going to be able to have, in addition to the fact that we're going to use some money for the additional health and custodial staffing?
Sure, we're actually going to discuss that in detail in the executive session.
Okay.
So I'll just save it for that time if you don't mind, and then we'll go into detail on that.
Okay, B21 will be for inside. And then we went out to bids for food service, and you'll see B22 and B23. There were 10 different proposals, breakdowns on food service. We accepted 1 to 9, and we're rejecting bid number 10. So then we're all caught up with finance. That'll bring us to personnel. Mr. Kopaz, if there's anything on C7?
Yes, Dr. Maida, thank you. In accordance with the Bayonne Board of Education Policy 5512, during this reporting period, one incident of harassment, intimidation, and bullying has been reported and investigated at Nicholas Oresco School. In this case, there was no confirmed evidence of the investigated acts of HIB. Strategies, resources, and remedial measures were implemented. All documentation is being retained by the school anti-bullying coordinator. Thank you, Dr. Maida.
And I believe that covers everything for personnel. I just have one item, and it has to do with our Strauss Esme, with our board policies. I'd like to introduce it to the open workshop, and we'll vote on it next meeting in September. So we have the readoption of the full packet, followed by Strauss had sent us an update on 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, about 14 different policies or regs. So these are being introduced into the record tonight to be voted on next month. Mr. Egan, do you have anything to say about the meetings we've had?
Just that, first of all, the readoption normally happens at the January meeting. We didn't do it this year because of the Strauss estimate report. There, you can see how big it is, so there'll be a couple copies on file in Dr. Maida's office. Most of the edits, if you will, were like fill in the blank, almost Mad Libs. The one that strikes me mostly is we had to name the name of the fund that we use for our cafeteria funds, which happens to be cafeteria fund. So we try to fill in that blank, so to speak. If there's any questions about them, everybody has my email, you can reach out, but it's going to be, this packet is going to be simply stuff like that. Nothing outrageous. Who's allowed to disperse funds? The answer, business administrator. It's just stuff like that, stuff that should have been cleaned up, but over 30, 40, 20 years, whatever, there was some gaps. So that's what this is. They said we'll be moving it into a resolution next month. Again, if you have any questions, you can talk to me. Most of the committee is here. I don't see, but it was really just housekeeping.
Okay. And as I said, they'll be on record in my office. If anyone needs to see them or would like to look at them, be my guest, just give me a call, they're there. Madam President, that's all I have for the open workshop. If there isn't anything, we will adjourn to an executive session for personnel, legal, and negotiation items. It is 6:18. The board will return at 7:30.
Yeah, because,
We read this stuff here?
Folks, we're going in the Anna J. Herbert meeting room. We're not going into the commons. That's good. I'd like to call... Too loud. Better? Better. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Could we please stand for a pledge to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For the record, this is a public meeting of the Bayonne Board of Education. It is 7:40 p.m., the 31st day of August, and we are convening in the Alexander O'Connor Auditorium. The presiding officer is Maria Villado, President of the Bayonne Board of Education. Those in attendance include Mr. John J. Neese, our Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Kenneth Kopaz, our Assistant Superintendent for Personnel, Dr. Gary Maida, Board Secretary, Mr. Daniel Castles, School Business Administrator, Mr. Thomas Fagu, Jr., our Assistant School Business Administrator, Dr. Dennis Degnan, our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, and Mitchell Pasquale, Esquire, our Board Counsel. The meeting is open to the public. I will take a roll call. Trustee Alonso.
Present.
Trustee Broderick.
Present.
Trustee Burke.
Present.
Trustee Cassius.
Here.
Trustee Egan.
Present.
Trustee Finnerty.
Here.
Trustee Wilbeck.
Here.
Vice President Munoz.
Here.
President Villado.
Here. For the record, adequate written advance notice of at least 48 hours giving the time, date, and location of this meeting with the agenda was provided as follows. Notice was promptly posted in City Hall at 630 Avenue C on the bulletin board reserved for such announcements of the Board of Education. The Board Secretary sent such notice to the Jersey Journal and Bayonne Community News. Notice was filed with the Municipal Clerk of the City of Bayonne, Ms. Melinda Mendia.
Anything else? You good? Okay, we'll turn to our agenda, starting with our approval of minutes and our acceptance of communication. Everything was posted to the website, and we also have it on the side bulletin boards. Do I have a motion
I'll make that motion.
and a second?
Second.
So I have a motion and second for approval of minutes and acceptance of communications. On that motion and second, Trustee Alonso,
Yes.
Trustee Broderick,
Yes.
Trustee Burke,
Yes.
Trustee Cassius,
Yes.
Trustee Egan,
Yes.
Trustee Finnerty,
Yes.
Trustee Wilbeck,
Yes.
Vice President Munoz,
Yes.
President Villado.
Yes.
Next up is curriculum. Which is resolutions, resolutions A1, A13. Do I have a motion? Trustee Finnerty, do I have a motion?
I make the motion, please?
Great. And second?
Second.
Second by President Villado. So a motion and second on curriculum. Trustee Alonso?
Yes.
Trustee Broderick?
Yes.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Cassius?
Yes.
Trustee Egan?
Yes.
Trustee Finnerty?
Yes.
Trustee Wilbeck?
Yes.
Vice President Munoz?
Yes.
President Villado.
Yes.
Next up is B, our Finance and Building Grounds, Resolutions B1 to B23.
Yep.
Actually, I apologize. Before I go to B, there are two questions on Resolution A13 from the public. Sorry about that. Mr. D'Amico, 73 West 6th Street, on Resolution A13.
Anthony D'Amico, 73 West 6th Street. I was just wondering what the reason is for bumping the meetings up earlier, especially considering Bayonne's a working class town and most people work probably till 5, 6 o'clock, especially those of us who work in the city. 5 o'clock is going to be difficult, let alone 6. So what's the reasoning?
Because of the scheduling that we have for the beginning of school during the COVID, that's why we were rescheduling. And it just works out better for the central office staff and the staff that comes into the meetings.
So the interest of the public that have their kids here or whatnot, that's secondary to what's better for central office's schedule? Is that what I'm getting?
Well, no, it's because of the scheduling will be different. That's why we changed it earlier. And the rest of us, the board members, agreed that it was a better scheduling for them with work constraints and things that they have to do afterward. So we thought that that would be better if we make it at 5 o'clock, the workshop, and then 6 o'clock, the open meeting.
Okay, so the parents who work obviously
The
won't be
parents,
able to come and
the
voice.
open meeting is open at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, it's open at 6. Let's say people work till 5. Don't get home till maybe 6. Then they, proper things, shower, do that, come in. You're basically making the meeting more difficult for parents to come and voice, or anybody to come and voice, all because it's easier for the guys on the stage.
It's only like that for a couple of months, am I
Right,
right?
for 3 months.
3
Yeah,
months.
it's 3 months.
Of course.
3 months, and in that time, we're going to be reevaluating what we're doing with virtual versus hybrid versus going back to school. These are the most important months of this time because we don't know what the heck is going on with this COVID stuff. So, I mean, to me, bumping the meeting up for convenience doesn't seem like it's beneficial for the people that are, to me, coming for the public session. I mean, we moved to this big thing, and, I mean, this is at a regular time, and we have, 7 people? What do you think you're going to get at 5 and 6 o'clock? It just seems like we're trying to make it more harder for people to come and speak and voice their opinion and contest some stuff that you guys are doing, or back you up. I mean, I get it, traffic sucks, but we all deal with it. I fight to get here from the city to make sure that I'm here to speak for my kid and other people, so I think you guys should be able to stay regular meetings. It's an hour, 2 hours. I know last meeting we got sucked in for about 4 hours, but that's not an everyday occurrence, so I don't get making it easier for on the stage versus here in the town.
Thank you for voicing your concerns. We will try this for a month and see how the turnout of our meetings are. If there's significant issue, we could always revisit and adjust our meeting time. Thank you.
Next up. No? But that was on, you want to do it as an open. I got you. Okay, so we're back to our finance agenda, resolution B1 to B23. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Motion by trustee Egan. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And a second by trustee Broderick. On a motion and second on finance, trustee Alonso?
I was going to vote yes, except for B21. That's the lease agreement with the city for Marist and St. Andrews,
If
where
there's
they
a
bond
request
for it
me to
instead of
move
us going on the
into
ballot.
non-consent,
Let's move it to non-consent then.
I will move it to non-consent.
That would be D2, non-consent.
Okay, so I will retake that motion. We're going to remove B21 to non-consent. So resolution B1 to B23, B21 is being moved to non-consent. I still have my motion,
You do.
and I still have my second.
Yes, you do.
So on that motion and second, trustee Alonso,
Yes.
trustee Broderick,
Yes.
trustee Burke,
Yes.
trustee Cassius,
Yes.
trustee Egan,
Yes.
trustee Finerty,
Yes.
trustee Wilbeck,
Yes.
vice president Munoz,
Yes.
president Pilato.
Yes.
Next up is our personnel, resolution C1 to C21. I'd like to point out that resolution C13 is being tabled. It's a duplicate, and I apologize for that. So our personnel agenda, do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by trustee Cassius and a second,
Second.
and a second by trustee Burke. So we have a motion and a second on personnel. Trustee Alonso?
Yes.
Trustee Broderick?
Yes.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Cassius?
Yes.
Trustee Egan?
Yes.
Trustee Finerty?
Yes.
Trustee Wilbeck?
Yes.
Vice President Munoz?
Yes.
President Bellato?
Yes.
Okay, we got an addition on non-consent. Okay, I'll give the board a chance to look at it.
Thank you.
Okay. Resolution D1, whereas it's been determined that a vacancy exists in certain disciplines in the Bayonne Public School District, whereas the superintendent of schools, Mr. John J. Neese, has recommended the appointment of the below-named staff pending criminal history review, receipt of certification. Therefore, be it resolved that pending fingerprint verification and receipt of certification, the below-named staff are hereby appointed at the salaries adjacent to their names on the effective dates indicated. Employee ID number 7121, salary correction, effective September 1st, 2020, from $65,986 to $67,131. Employee ID 5766, salary correction, effective 9/1/2020, from $56,824 to $57,969. And do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
And do I have a second?
Second.
So I have a motion and second on resolution D1. Trustee Alonso?
I'm going to vote no.
And that is a no. Trustee Broderick?
Yes.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Cassius?
Yes.
Trustee Egan?
Yes.
Trustee Finerty?
Yes.
Trustee Wilbeck?
Yes.
Vice President Munoz?
Yes.
President Bellato?
Yes.
Okay. And that'll bring us back to B21. Whereas the Bayonne Board of Education has reached an agreement with the City of Bayonne to enter into an interlocal agreement for the lease of Marist and St. Andrews properties. Now therefore be it resolved that the Bayonne Board of Education enter into the attached interlocal service agreement with the City of Bayonne for the lease of Marist and the St. Andrew property. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
And I had a second.
I'll second.
Okay, so a motion by trustee Egan, second by trustee Broderick. On that motion and second, trustee Alonso?
You know, it's not that acquiring these buildings are a bad idea. It's just that circumventing the voters is the problem. If the school board wanted to buy these buildings, the question would go on the ballot and the whole town would decide. But if the city buys it and we rent it, then we could skip the voters, and that's why I'm voting no.
That's a no. Trustee Broderick?
Yes.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Cassius?
Yes.
Trustee Egan?
Yes.
Trustee Finerty?
Yes.
Trustee Wilbeck?
Yes.
Vice President Munoz?
Yes.
President Villado?
Yes.
President, that's all I have for this evening, but we do have one additional card,
Yes.
and then I do another card from Melissa.
President Wood? Really, he has to just be, thank you, President Wood.
So just two things tonight, to be pretty quick. Number one, just want to say thank you to all the parties involved in our conversations that we had over the last month and a half or so about figuring out what we're going to do. It is definitely appreciated that we have the option to come in to do that. It's going to, like I said, mitigate the entry into the building. Gives the opportunities for those who need to stay home to do the things that they need to do to stay safe. And so I appreciate, working together on that. This is good all the way around for all of us. Second thing is, I did say that I would, two meetings or so ago, that I would address Trustee Alonso at every meeting. I did not do that at the last meeting because there were other things going on. But I know I saw that the name is on the ballot for our next election, and many of us have already spoken about the issues with you requesting that you resign. Obviously, that's not a move that you're making, but I'm going to end just simply with this. A line, a title of a great film from Spike Lee, Do the Right Thing. Do the right thing. Resign, do not run, because you do not have the best interest for our district at hand. That's it. Thank you.
Our next speaker, Melissa Kotsky Rodriguez, 178 Avenue F.
Melissa Godesky Rodriguez, 178 Avenue F. So it's a two-part portion. I don't want to take up too much of your time. The first one is about 8:13 and the times of the meetings. While I understand your reasoning, I do a lot of things at my job for the best interest of myself. Like today, I left work 2.5 hours early to be here and sacrificed my entire team of 2 people to manage hundreds of customers today by themselves because I found that this was important. I do believe as a public servant and an elected position that you would take the bigger picture and see that our lives, all of our lives, sorry, it's hard to breathe, are negatively impacted by what is going on. I just ask that we stop making things a little bit more difficult. It shouldn't be perceived as a deterrent. I know you don't mean it that way, but it's perceived as a deterrent to keep people from coming and voicing their opinions. I just ask that you just go back and reconsider and say, wow, like, is it that big of a deal for 3 months for you to keep the meetings where they're at and see where it goes? Why can't we look at it that way? So just please put some thought that we want to get people involved more and more, especially now, because you can use all the help you can get, okay? So, and the second part is about the special education. You guys are probably sick and tired of hearing about it. But I'm sick and tired of waiting as a parent. I'm sick and tired of not knowing what my son's first day is going to look like. His books, his writing, he can't click through 19 tabs. As far as special education goes, there's a lot of tools and resources our children are going to need. 1,500 students. There's going to be a lot of planning involved. I know that there were some letters sent in by representatives of our special needs community, and I thank them so much for standing up for all of us, but something really needs to be addressed. We need something. I mean, all families need something. I don't want to say that just us, but we need something. I'm so unprepared as a parent. My son is so unprepared as a student. So please, we're on August 31st. Our IEPs are sitting here waiting. They're not modified for remote learning yet. All of our IEPs need to be modified. We're still waiting. I'm begging you at this point to please give us something. Please, you got parents sitting home crying, and I know you guys don't know that, but I'm on the phone with them every night. Just please reconsider how you're communicating and get a plan out, get a survey out. What do these kids need? Books, writing utensils, slant boards, tons of tools that they would normally get in the classroom need to be provided for them at home. So please consider getting some type of communication out, Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion by President Villado, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Vice President Munoz to adjourn the meeting. On that motion and second, Trustee Alonso?
Yes.
Trustee Broderick?
Yes.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Cassius?
Yes.
Trustee Egan? Yes. Trustee Finnerty?
Yes.
Trustee Wilbeck?
Yes.
Vice President Munoz?
Yes.
President Villado?
Yes.
It is now 8 p.m. Public meeting's over. The board will not return.